Harry, who's that standing next to the Queen? Is that a servant? That's what Harry wrote in his book Spare. How stupid is this man that he actually believes it? Or is it that he wanted to believe it?
Meghan Markle, as previously having been a, quote, yacht girl, there have been more revelations going viral from the past. And I want to show you this.
She was a yacht girl. That's right. It's mentioned in the book. Meghan used to entertain as a yacht girl.
Every device he ever touched is now in police hands. Phones, laptops, external drives, and even the tiniest USB sticks have been seized. His documents, his private papers, and what could be decades of sensitive information are sitting locked away in an evidence room somewhere in England, under watchful eyes. Meanwhile, in sunny Montecito, California, a woman who spent the past 8 years meticulously burying her pre-Roe past is facing a shocking reality. The one man who could confirm every rumor about her is now sitting across from a detective with absolutely nothing left to lose. This isn't about Andrew anymore. It hasn't been for some time. The real story lies in what Andrew knows, and more importantly, what is now contained in the material that could expose a web of connections tied to Meghan Markle. And make no mistake, this story starts long before anyone had ever even imagined a Duchess of Sussex walking down Windsor Castle's aisle. You already know the headlines. Andrew's arrest dominated global media coverage. Every channel, every feed, every headline carried his name. But here's what most people missed. When police execute a search warrant, they do far more than skim. They seize everything. Hard drives, laptops, phones, filing cabinets, even notebooks, anything that stores data, they take. And in this case, they hit not one, but 2 properties, one in Windsor.
Britain's former Prince Andrew.
The reports are that Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested.
Meghan, this is historic. There has not been a crisis like this in 90 years. Whoa, okay. The House and Habit bombshell investigation into Meghan Markle is close to dropping. A man called Kevin Blatt. Now, he is a celebrity tape broker, ladies, where he describes a 2018 call from a woman claiming to possess a 4-year-old tape of a Meghan who is about to marry a prince.
One in Norfolk. What does that mean in practical terms? Somewhere in a secured evidence room, decades of Andrew's private life now sit, potentially exposing everything. Names, phone numbers, emails, private conversations, photographs, travel itineraries, guest lists, social circles, the high-profile events he attended, and the influential people he associated with. All of it is now on a detective's desk, waiting to be examined. The arrest itself is a legal narrative. Misconduct in public office, handling of confidential documents, all of that will play out in court. But the seizure, that's a completely different creature. Seized material has no limits. Investigators tug on one thread, and the entire network comes undone. Every conversation Andrew ever had about his friends, his associates, his high society guests, all of it is now potentially accessible. And if your name appears anywhere in those files, connected to events you've tried for years to erase, you don't just need a lawyer, you need a miracle. Long before Meghan Markle ever became royalty, she lived in a world that was harsh, competitive, and often unforgiving. Hollywood doesn't roll out the red carpet for newcomers, it chews them up and spits them out.
Her name is Meghan, and she's about to marry a prince in England.
No, what?
Yeah, this story's not true, too. It is true. I believe this is Meghan.
This is Karina Shuliak, Epstein's girlfriend.
And the only times she traveled and went anywhere was with him. And guess who's on the other end with her Panama hat?
We really never thought we'd see anything like this. There are currently 2 teams of police on the King's estate searching the King's property.
You know, I certainly think, this guy, Andrew, what he's done to this family is absolutely appalling, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And Meghan knew that better than most. Between small television roles and charity appearances on the red carpet, she was quietly but purposefully building a network. Not the kind you make during auditions or on set. These were private dinners, exclusive members-only clubs, and according to multiple consistent reports, even elite yacht gatherings. not ordinary boats, but yachts that cost more per weekend than most people earn in a lifetime, anchored off the sun-drenched Mediterranean. These gatherings were populated by billionaires, financiers, and people who simply don't appear on any public guest list. It's crucial to note that these reports are unproven claims, yet they have circulated for years. Meghan is said to have attended these exclusive events during her pre-royal years, where introductions weren't exchanged with business cards, but with favours, influence, and the kind of access that can make or break reputations. Networking, socialising, and what some might call other arrangements, blurred together in ways outsiders rarely understand. Investigators have been studying this pattern for nearly a decade. One insider summed it up succinctly: scorpions don't sleep, they plot. Sometimes for years. The full picture of Meghan's pre-royal network appears to have been deliberately assembled piece by piece, waiting for the perfect moment. And in this context, a royal prince sitting in custody with his entire digital life in police hands.
And I wonder if Prince Andrew's going to come out and say, hey, Harry, I did your wife quite a few times on yachts before you got her.
She'd been a deal or no deal girl. She was calling herself a model, and she was starring in a show Suits. She used to charge almost $30,000 per trip, which is why she was making good money. It wasn't on Suits. It was on her yachting trips.
Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
And here we have Andrew, with whom looks like Marcus Anderson. This is in 2001, when Meghan Markle would have allegedly been on third year.
Meghan Markle hardly spent any time at Northwestern University.
Is exactly the right moment. One name that continues to surface in discussions is Ron Burkle, billionaire investor, photographed with Meghan at the 2015 opening of a Soho House location in Istanbul. Investigators point to that gathering as a pivotal moment where Hollywood networking intersected with a far more shadowy social circle. Burkle has appeared in other inquiries as well, overlapping with some of the same networks that ultimately contributed to Andrew's downfall. Observers have also noted something strange about Burkle. He was always photographed in the same outfit, year after year, at various events. The reasoning: it made it harder to verify the timing and location of photos, a calculated move or extreme paranoia, depending on who you ask. And the question that keeps coming up in every discussion is, how does a working actress on a Canadian cable TV show suddenly find herself at gatherings with entry prices in the seven figures? Connections like that aren't random. They're curated, facilitated, and carefully orchestrated. According to one investigator, Meghan wasn't just attending these events. She was reportedly being introduced to specific people by specific people, which strongly suggests these connections were arranged, not coincidental.
Many things in Meghan's past, I think, are patchy at best, and she is going to be worried about this because, again, the mainstream media have not reported on the fact Meghan Markle was friends with Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend.
Jessica Reed-Krause writes, I have all the scrubbed info. Soho, Epstein connections, that is clearly a reference to Soho House. Photos and mistreated staff as meaning anonymous sources detailing what it's like to work for her.
Sarah Ferguson attended Tom Inskip's wedding in Jamaica in 2017. Meghan Markle was flown in private plane, allegedly belonging to Ron Burkle. Harry flew economy plus from the United Kingdom to Jamaica. And Fergie, Eugenie, and allegedly Andrew were at that wedding.
You know, this is what Meghan has been doing. She's a piece of Klingon, like she clings to somebody who can get her there. So Meghan manages to befriend one person of a very popular group, and then that person introduces her to the others. And because she's being brought in by somebody they trust, she's welcomed in.
Whether these introductions were tied to networks Andrew was part of remains unproven, yet the overlap in names, dates, and locations is striking. And here's a part of the story that rarely gets attention. If investigators have been piecing this together for nearly a decade, and credible journalists are now openly discussing it, why has no major outlet dared to follow up in depth? One person did try to make the story impossible to ignore: Virginia Giuffre. She was at the centre of the case that forced Andrew into a £12 million settlement. Exploited as a teenager, taken advantage of by powerful men, Virginia spent years fighting in courts to make her voice heard. In 2025, at just 41 years old, she passed away. Following Andrew's arrest, her family released a statement saying their broken hearts were finally lifted. They declared he was never a prince and that Virginia's fight was for survivors everywhere, and they thanked the police for proving that no one is above the law, not even royalty. Here's the twist that mainstream media missed. In December 2021, Virginia's attorney, David Boies, told the Daily Beast that his team was considering deposing Meghan Markle as a witness in the civil case against Andrew. The reasoning was simple. Meghan lived in the US, had spent time around Andrew as a family member, and might have seen or heard critical information. Boies described her as a close associate of Andrew, in a position to observe his actions firsthand. He also considered deposing Fergie and even Prince Charles. At the time, Boies spoke of Meghan as a family witness, someone connected to Andrew through marriage into the royal orbit via Harry. The case settled before any depositions occurred, but the point remains chilling. A lawyer in one of the most high-profile cases of modern history publicly labelled Meghan a potential witness. Nobody questioned what close associate meant before she became a royal. Nobody asked how deep the connection ran or when it began. The legal team was eager for answers, but that question simply vanished, and the silence speaks volumes. When a lawyer in such a high-profile case identifies you as a potential witness, the world should stop and take notice. Yet for Meghan, it barely lasted a day before the media and public moved on. The question remains, why? The investigation into Meghan Markle's pre-royal connections didn't begin with Andrew's arrest. It didn't emerge overnight in headlines or from a single leak. Instead, it quietly started roughly 8 years ago, around the time Meghan first entered public life as Prince Harry's partner. Behind the scenes, multiple independent researchers, journalists, and private investigators began piecing together a timeline of her life, cross-referencing travel dates, event attendances, and public appearances. Every social media post, every photograph, every fleeting detail was being examined. Some of these posts have since been scrubbed. Other images circulate only in private investigative forums, rarely making their way into mainstream publications. One researcher involved in this work described it as the most comprehensive private investigation into a public figure's past she had ever witnessed in her career. Alleged photographs from Soho House events, guest lists from Mediterranean gatherings, and private dinners were being catalogued meticulously. But the focus wasn't just on attendance. It was about who facilitated the introductions, who had access to whom, and the subtle social dynamics at play. The investigation mapped not only Meghan's trajectory through Hollywood and elite social circles, but also her intersections with people and events that, in hindsight, now seem highly significant. At the heart of these findings is a phrase that keeps recurring: yacht girl. It doesn't merely mean someone who attended parties on yachts. Within certain elite social structures, it describes a very specific role, one involving introductions to influential people, access to private networks, and sometimes compensation for facilitating social mobility. In these circles, the term signifies not just presence, but purposeful positioning within high-stakes networks. According to investigators, Meghan's early career intersected with these networks, raising questions about how she navigated and ultimately leveraged them. Now, to be clear, are these claims proven? Not yet in court, but they are no longer the idle whispers of anonymous social media accounts. These are observations from professionals with sources, legal counsel, and reputations at stake. 20 years ago, a woman in Meghan's position, even a Hollywood actress, would have had virtually no pathway to marrying a working member of the British royal family. Her career trajectory, combined with her social networking, set her apart in ways that many observers now find noteworthy. When professionals with verified sources and years of investigation begin speaking openly about a story they've been compiling for years, it's usually a sign. The moment has arrived when the evidence can't be dismissed easily. Andrew's arrest, and everything it may expose, is precisely that moment. February 19th marked a turning point. Before the arrest, Meghan's past was largely a matter of rumour, speculation, and online discussion. After the arrest, those rumours potentially became matters of evidence. Whatever was on Andrew's devices, emails, contacts, photographs, messages, and travel logs, has now been seized by Thames Valley Police. While their official investigation focuses on misconduct in public office, the material they hold is unfiltered. Everything they find is now part of the official record. A pattern also emerges when examining the relationship between Sarah Ferguson and Meghan Markle. In 2019, Fergie publicly praised Meghan in Vogue Arabia, saying she could relate to her and describing her as modern, fabulous, and someone who had been in her shoes. By 2023, however, her public stance had shifted dramatically. Asked about Meghan by The Telegraph, she said, "I don't really know Meghan. I haven't really met her." That statement is striking. Fergie personally guided Meghan in public protocol, demonstrating a curtsy at Royal Lodge before Meghan met the Queen, a moment Harry confirmed in his memoir. Spare. They spoke, shared experiences, and engaged in a mentorship moment. 4 years later, Fergie publicly dismissed it. The shift from, "I relate to her," to, "I don't really know her," suggests a conscious decision to distance herself. People don't publicly disassociate from someone with no reason, especially someone as high profile as Meghan. Something happened between 2019 and 2023 that caused Fergie to reconsider her alignment. Today, Fergie sits in a position of influence and potential exposure. She has reportedly been offered six-figure deals for tell-all interviews. Palace insiders are said to be worried she might go rogue, potentially revealing information that could embarrass the king or other family members. Her representatives are working to prevent a scenario similar to Megxit, but sources close to her emphasise that Andrew has already had his chance to tell his story. Now it's Fergie's turn. When she eventually speaks, will she repeat her public distancing? Or will she explain why she stopped publicly supporting Meghan? This is a chapter that should concern Meghan. Andrew's arrest wasn't just about forwarding a set of documents to a convicted financier. The search warrants covered 2 properties, seizing devices, hard drives, documents, and personal correspondence spanning decades. Andrew was at the centre of a sprawling social network, stretching from Buckingham Palace to private Caribbean islands. Every guest list, every note, every communication is now potentially part of the record. Andrew himself is stripped of protection. No title, no privileges, no shield from the crown. He faces charges carrying life imprisonment. His daughter reportedly cut off contact, and his brother avoids even using his first name publicly. Loyalty has vanished. A man who long believed the rules didn't apply to him is now under scrutiny. Observers warn that the question isn't whether he'll protect secrets anymore, but how quickly he might trade them for a lighter outcome. Those following the investigation caution that what has surfaced publicly is only the beginning. A royal biographer who fought for years to access Andrew's records said he has never truly been held accountable for anything in his life. This arrest, according to experts, is just the start. A former member of the royal household put it bluntly, "Andrew has gone rogue, and the worst is still ahead." Meghan spent years telling the world she lacked protection from the royal institution. She highlighted double standards, drawing attention to how Andrew was shielded while she faced public criticism, and she was correct. What she never explained was the underlying reason for that focus. She wanted attention on the unfairness, so people wouldn't ask the obvious follow-up question: why did she need protection from the same story? Andrew required protection from chapters of the same book, and now that book is in the hands of Thames Valley Police. Andrew's phones, devices, and files are now part of an evidence room. 8 years' worth of unanswered questions about Meghan's pre-royal past are no longer just internet rumours. They are tangible evidence. Virginia Giuffre tried to make the world listen. Fergie tried to warn us. Now, for the first time, these truths aren't floating in online gossip. They're in the hands of investigators with legal authority. Whatever Andrew knows, he no longer controls who sees it or what emerges. So what happens next? How many connections? How many names and how many events from those years are waiting to be revealed? How far does this network extend? The story is far from over, and its revelations could ripple far beyond one family, exposing the hidden influence of decades-old social networks. For those following closely, now is the moment to stay informed. The next developments could come quickly, and the details could reshape public perception. If you want to stay on top of this story, make sure to subscribe so you're notified the moment new information surfaces. If this investigation gave you new insight, give it a like. It lets us know this coverage matters. And if you have thoughts, theories, or questions, drop them in the comments. We want to hear your perspective because every viewpoint adds to the discussion. Remember, in the world of power, influence, and secrets, what's hidden rarely stays hidden forever. Andrew's files, his communications, and the networks he participated in are no longer behind closed doors. Whatever is revealed could be game-changing, and for Meghan Markle, these revelations are far more personal than most of the public realizes. This is Star Spotlight, where the shine fades and the details tell the truth. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and most importantly, stay informed.